What did you learn in school that is 100% false? You won't always have a calculator. The fuck I won't. I have a phone in my pocket and my Fitbit on my wrist has a calculator. I have in my pocket a device that allows me the ability to access all the world's human knowledge. But it's mostly used to watch videos of cats. That bullying wouldn't be tolerated. Ugh, don't even get me started with this one. Gets punched in the face in front of entire class. Teacher does nothing. True story. Well, to be fair, they probably didn't know that their administrators were gonna be bigger bullies than the kids. You need to write in cursive to be taken serious as an adult. As a med student about to graduate, I had to resort back to cursive after I'd tens of years lol. It's the only way to speedily jot things during patient interactions. So that's why doctors all have handwriting that can't be decoded by anything short of a supercomputer array. I hear all the time from boomers that T is G N at Ion can't read/write in cursive. It is so unimportant. As long as you can sign your name, it literally does not matter. I found some notes from drug education class in 7th grade, and they said that marijuana was an injectable drug. Also that LSD caused insanity. This was in 1968. I love my trips yo, but even I wouldn't try to claim such a bold statement about LSD. It's a psychoactive drug, of course it can induce psychosis. How TF were they injecting weed? I think there is a simple explanation for this. Both weed and heroin are referred to as dope on television. A person with zero drug experience would gradually come to the false conclusion that weed and heroin are the same thing. And because dope, heroin, is something to be injected, then it must be the same drug as dope, weed, which is smoked. Although the first dispensary I ever joined did sell THC enemas, it's not quite injecting, but there is shoving involved. I had a similar situation when I casually told my mom that I smoked some hash. She was cool with me smoking pot, but to her brain the word hash signifies a completely different drug, something smoked out of a hookah pipe in a musty den by shady characters. When I tried to explain, in the simplest terms, that hash was a concentrated form of weed, she still didn't like it. Good grades always result in high paychecks. My sister and I always butt heads on this. We went to the same university. She got very good grades while I struggled. Yes, she got a much better job than I did right out of school. But that was almost 20 years ago. I've more than caught up since then. My sister is bitter that I am as successful as she is, despite having much different grades in college. But it's very true that, with the exception of maybe for first job out of school, your work experience far outweighs how well you did in school. I feel bad that your sister is still hung up on college grades, WTF. Poor mathematicians, literally. There was only one Ice Age. By my count we have had 6 and several spin-off series. /hashtag 6 seasons and a movie. Yeah, they completely omitted that it's a cyclic event. My 2nd grade teacher told us 1 + A equals 2 because A is the first letter of the alphabet, so therefore it equals 1. A student asked about what letters in math meant, and this was the teacher's way of telling us. Instead of just telling us what a variable is or just telling us not to worry about it yet. Edit. Student was asking about algebra, not Greek numerals. Plus the teacher didn't mention anything involving Greek numerals. Okay, awesome. So E equals MC2 is really 5 equals 13 times 32. 13 times 9 equals 117. I got it, guys. 5 equals 117. It makes so much sense now. Wait, 5 equals 2.925 to the power of 188 ? This is so very wrong. I don't know why a teacher would say that. A is equal to 65. Similarly, A is equal to 97. That any college degree means you'll make more money in adulthood. This. I have a master's degree, and my wife makes a lot more money than I do. She didn't go to college. I know a girl who was an executive assistant and she made somewhere around 60-70K. Said she didn't need her degree to do her job at all, just that they required a degree. My wife with 2 bachelor's degrees working in an entirely different field totally gets that. My 11th grade physics teacher taught us that we should open all of our windows if a tornado is about to hit your house. I told him he was wrong and got a detention for it. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that it just dramatically increased the surface area for the wind to latch onto, create high pressure areas inside the house, and generally make your roof pop right off that much easier. Also, you know, there's a tornado about to hit your house. Running around opening windows sounds like an awful way to spend your last moments. The real issue is that you're supposed to get to the safest spot in the house as quickly as you can. Running around opening windows defeats that purpose. If a tornado is going to directly hit or even sideswipe your house, the state of your windows don't matter, mainly because it will open them for you. If a tornado is far enough away or not strong enough to not bust your windows, then it's just pulling shingles off. Your adult life will be riddled with emergency scenarios that can be calmed only through the use of algebra. You know what's funny? I hated algebra and math in general. What the hell is x\y equals z gonna help me? Then I became a welder. I used it all the time without knowing it. Especially involving train speeds. Well, we often use the one about how many invitations you can address per hour. We were always taught the British are coming, but apparently they still consider themselves British and actually shouted the redcoats are coming, the redcoats are coming. The regulars. And 60 years later, Laura Secord made a similar ride into Canada shouting, the blue coats are coming, the blue coats are coming. You can solve troubles with assholes by talking to them. How helpful. It landed me in hospital twice. How do you start a conversation with an inflamed hemorrhoid? Asking for a mate. Violence doesn't solve the problem. Just talk to the bully. Tell them that what they are doing makes you uncomfortable. Kid tries this, gets bullied more. Kid kicks the crap out of the bully, nearly putting him in hospital. Bully doesn't go near the kid again. Problem solved. Some teachers were very disconnected from reality. Violence is never the answer, talk to him. Kid tries that. Bully body slams him across the classroom and once again onto the floor on the head. Kid gets concussion and takes a trip to the emergency center at the hospital. Kid comes back with continual headaches as a sequelae. Bully body slams him onto the floor again. That hard work will get you places. Connections and politics matter far more. In the immortal words of Randall Munroe, and the 10 minutes spent striking up a chat with that strange kid in homeroom sometimes matters more than every other part of high school combined. Unfortunately, in the US this may be true for different reasons. And luck, don't forget luck, especially for the artists out there. There are always better or worse artists than you, that become famous or rich in skill. After a certain point, rarely matters. After that it's all who you know, how you are perceived and being at the right place at the right time. The human tongue taste buds are sectioned off for sweet, sour, etc. Instead, they are all bundled, found out by burning my mouth as a kid with hot cocoa. This experiment that they made us do in school pisses me off because it's the opposite of the scientific method. It starts with a conclusion and works backward to fit in the evidence that supports it. It teaches kids confirmation bias, not good methodology. Honestly, kids do need to know how confirmation bias works. I remember my first grade teacher doing a whole activity where we had different flavor dips or something and tongue depressors. She had us put sweets on the other flavor areas of our tongues to see what happened. I remember being the only kid that was like LMFAO, this doesn't work at all, and everyone else insisted they couldn't taste the sweet cherry flavor on the side of their tongue. Just so stupid. This is a result of some sort of mistranslation of a particular study. That's camels use their humps to store water. No. Not like this. Edit, I looked it up and the comment is correct. Their humps are fat stores, fat that the camel can use for nourishment when food is scarce. They can drink up to 30 gallons of water in a single sitting because their blood cells are oval shaped and therefore can change shape more easily to keep blood flowing. Kind of unrelated, but I'm just now fully appreciating what a fucking weird animal a camel is. Just got these lumps of fat plopped right on top. Wild stuff. That the government represents the people. Scrolled way too far for this. Pluto is the 9th planet. I wish lol. But I consider it a dwarf planet now though. It's a planet in my heart. That was probably true when they taught you though, depending on when you went to high school. I was told I would get AIDS and die if I had sex. Still negative. Don't have sex, you'll get pregnant and die. That's pretty much what they told us while making us watch videos of people dying of AIDS. To be fair, you will die, but now you won't die a virgin. My 8th grade science teacher of all people told my class that blood was blue until exposed to oxygen. Wouldn't blood always be exposed to oxygen since the whole purpose of it is to transport oxygen throughout the body? I questioned my science teacher with this and got detention. Wait, it's not? That people grow out of bullying. Some do. The vast majority of asinine teens become perfectly fine adults, but there are way too many people who don't grow out of it. Some just become smooth manipulators. If you dig straight through the earth, you'll come out in China. I grew up in Eel and immediately told my teacher that couldn't be right. If I'm in the northern hemisphere when I dig, I must come out in the southern hemisphere. I got in trouble for telling her she was wrong. A couple years ago, I asked a Parisian buddy. He was also told that he would come out in China. Literally a few hours ago, I asked an Australian buddy. Guess what they told him? Apparently there are teachers who don't know how to use a globe, all over the globe. China has figured out how to funnel all of the hole diggers to come out in their country. Just another step in their world domination plan. It's more that digging a hole straight through the earth would make the Chinese so mad that they would conquer Earth, and then wherever you come up, it's already China. Haha, I was told China too. Grew up in Canberra, Australia. At least it's the right hemisphere for us. The US Civil War was primarily over states' rights. Ah, yes. The Lost Cause curriculum, where the War of Northern Aggression is taught without any irony. We might have been classmates. Yeah, states' rights to own slaves. It's like saying the cookie didn't make me fat, it was the calories. Technically correct, but we all know the truth. Except, the Confederacy didn't have states' rights. The states had to maintain slavery as an institution. It was required. Also, like saying guns don't kill people, people kill people. Technically correct, but we all know the truth. Mass and weight are the same according to my college biology class. They aren't. Weight is the force of gravity affecting a mass, which only really makes sense for them to be the same in biology since we are only talking about Earth. The teacher refused to correct it after I explained my answer. He just said that we didn't need to know that much in biology. How the fuck could someone that is a university professor not understand this? It's like 5th grade science. The example our teacher used was how you would weight less on the moon because of the lower gravity. Even if you specialize in a field, you still need to know the basics to other fields. The Earth is only 6,000 years old. Went to a Christian school in 6th grade. We have a museum in my hometown right off the freeway. T-Rex in the front. I was always intrigued by it, growing up. Creation Museum. So, my friends and I all go in back in 2011 and find out Darwin and Marx are as bad as Hitler and dinosaurs were on Noah's Ark. Cute little mural with a stegosaurus next to a farm cow. I'm from near there too. Fuck the Creation Museum. And fuck the Williamstown ARC. It's all hogwash, extremist bullshit extorting poverty-riddled areas to take advantage, tax breaks, the job market, make money, and spread lies. Ken Ham can choke. My biology teacher at school was not very smart. On one occasion she was talking about the damage of global warming to the South Pole, and how this affected the bears and penguins that live there. That seemed weird to me, so I asked her where bears live, whether at the North Pole, or South. She replied that in both. Unsolicited fact, Arctic is derived from the Greek word Arctis for bear, and in Antarctic means without. Also no penguins in the Northern Hemisphere. Edit. Apparently there are multiple origins and there is no consensus on the exact origin. Another one not mentioned below is that Polaris is also referred to as Arcturus, and can also mean opposite. This fact was also mentioned in the movie, Wrath of Man/Cash Truck. One type of penguins lives at the Galapagos Islands. I'd like to blow your mind with a Galapagos penguin. https://n.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/Galapagos_penguin that lives north of the equator. My dad once insisted vehemently that penguins weren't birds. Not sure what his reasoning was, but it was my first glimpse that my parents were fallible. Skipping class will go on your permanent record. There is a permanent record, but it only pertains to you going from grade school up through high school. Then colleges look at the last 2 to 3 years of high school because those last 3 years are the cumulative effect of your entire school career. The permanent record is more for identifying learning issues, for those teachers that care enough to see if there is, in order to get the kid help via 504 plans and IEPs. But no, things you did as a child in school will have no bearing on you once you become an adult, other than if you were a little shit then and continued to be a little shit into your adulthood, you'll likely continue to be a little shit. There's a permanent record. That I could be anything I want. That Columbus discovered America, it was a long time ago. I don't mind that one too much. As Leif Erikson had zero impact, Columbus' discovery was the one that had huge repercussions for the whole world. And neither was a discovery. You can't discover someplace where people already live. What I do hate is the whitewashing of the history. Columbus was an awful, evil man, as were many of the original Europeans. Why schools feel the need to protect the reputation of people 500 years ago who raped and murdered, I have no idea. Also see Native American history, where natives are often painted in a bad light, and the systematic genocide and theft of their lands is never questioned, and treated more like a noble quest of the white man. This is the future of many histories, by the way. If conservatives get their way, slavery will be largely written out of history, and what remains will be painted in a positive light somehow, as maybe enlightened Europeans helping poor Africans come to a new land of opportunity or some bullshit like that. Leif Erikson is thought to be the first European in North America. He landed in Newfoundland, way before Columbus hit South America. He thought he was in India, hence Indians. He was a slaver as well. He didn't think he was in India, he thought he was in the Indies, the islands between Asia and Australia. When he realized his mistake, the Caribbean islands where he landed were dubbed the West Indies. He also landed in the Bahamas and never set foot on North America. Blood is blue in our bodies and turns red due to being exposed to oxygen when we bleed. An actual nurse, in the middle of an exam, told me this. Failed to hit the vein 3 times. Everyone I know still believes that one. It's mind-boggling. Their excuse is that it needs to hit oxygen? That's like blood's whole thing. I've convinced someone to look it up once when I told them the water in the garden hose is green until comes out. The food pyramid. Oh, that's a good one. It was plastered on random walls too. I learned the 4 food groups, which came just before the food pyramid. My HS teachers made it sound like college professors would be much more strict, so we needed to have more discipline. Most of my college professors didn't give a shit if we showed up to class other than on exam days. A lot of them barely came to class themselves and had grad students do everything for them. High school, write a 10-page paper about the symbolism of the color yellow in The Great Gatsby. You must reference at least 10 citations. College, pick a major world religion and write about it, but for the love all that is good, keep it less than 3 pages. I always used to tell my students, at university, the same thing. I get paid regardless of whether you turn up or not. You're all adults, you can make your own choices. If you choose to fail, that's on you. Turn up, try hard, and I will help you achieve what you want. Don't turn up, don't try hard. You can fail on your own, and don't think I will help you 2 days before the exam. I won't. I will remind you of this warning and then wish you good luck. I had a university professor say something similar. We've already got your money. It's up to you if you want to get anything out of it. Drinking leads to hard drugs. Also, marijuana is a gateway drug. If it ever was, it was because people had to buy it from drug dealers. Obviously, they're going to try and upsell their customers on the more expensive stuff. I've never gone to a dispensary and had anyone offer to sell me cocaine. The Constitution is not a law, it is a guideline for making laws. Almost cost me my citizenship exam when they asked me what is the supreme law of the land? Quick, what was the political outlook of that teacher? New York City Public School. The Dutch were not aggressive colonizers but peaceful traders that were welcomed in overseas countries. Volk paid huge money for that propaganda. The whole of the Politional Actes were an afterthought to the history of World War II. When I was in 7th grade growing up Texas, we were taught in our Texas history class that the Civil War was not because of slavery, it was because of states' rights. I raised my hand and asked, states' rights to do what? Instead of answering the question, the teacher immediately sent me to the principal's office. We didn't even learn about the Civil War when I was in school. Absolutely embarrassing. There are only 3 states of matter: solid, gas and liquid. On a very basic level, yeah, pretty much. Those are the matter states you're going to find most in your everyday life: the ice in your freezer, the water in your glass, the steam coming out of the kettle. But yeah, things are much more complex on an advanced level. Plasma. My high school health teacher told us that taking the morning after pill is the same thing as getting an abortion. Were they fired? No, as far as I know he still teaches there. We're located in the Bible Belt. I spoke up in class when he said it. Even at 16 I knew he was wrong. I cannot imagine how many teenagers he has taught this to, and it's even more scary to think about how many of them believed him. That a gram of weed is enough to kill 3 people. Was that weed Atropa belladonna? Maybe if you trade it for a box cutter. This one is super unique to me. I had a middle school English teacher say to never put the final comma when listing 3+ items. So it's not that I have cheese, eggs, and ham. I have cheese, eggs and ham. That fucked me up in high school when I learned she had no idea WTF she was talking about. Oxford comma forever. Strangely enough, the use of a comma before and in a series is a hotly contested grammar point to this day. There are two main style books used in the US for compositions, news articles, etc. The Chicago style book prefers the use of the Oxford comma, which is to use the comma before and. The AP style book is somewhat against it. In elementary and high school, I was taught to use the Oxford comma. In college, I was taught to leave it out. I am starting to use it again because it makes the sentence easier to read.